had much more engagement from the community.
What motivated you to run for public office, and what did that campaign teach you about yourself?
So I'm in it right now. So I'll let you know what it taught me afterwards. But no, this is my third run for office. I'll tell you, the first two times I ran for state senator, state senate here in the state of Georgia. And what it taught me was that politics is all consuming. And so you really have to be able to be in a position to devote a lot of your time and energy to it. And although I was not in office, people would still come to me with a myriad of concerns and issues, right? As soon as you're running for office, they just consider you a politician. And I thought about that, my children.
Is there anything better than a trip getting ready?
Nope.
For a long journey where our podcast released a new app and searching for a faith feeling, new fixation. Giving this a subscribe is the same sensation. Started with the day ones, they gave us fuel to support the season. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here for a reason. Notification bells, text and friends, all to let you know. Check your Bluetooth, connect, talk your wisdom, I know.
Welcome in, everyone. Well said, well led. Our guest, Dr. Nelva Lee, season 3, episode 14. Today's guest is a leader who lives at the crossroads of healthcare, education, faith, and public service. Dr. Nelva Lee is a first-generation immigrant, founder and CEO of MiTio Incorporated, and a national respected voice on language access, community health, and leadership. From serving on Georgia's Department of Community Health to building a medical interpreting trade school and running for public office, her journey is about empowering people to move from the margins to the center and turning lived experience into real impact. Dr. Nelva Lee, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me tonight, Donna.
Great. I want to start. I mentioned in the intro there, as a first-generation immigrant, how has your personal story shaped the way you approach leadership and service in the U.S.?
I believe that every experience that you have prepares you for the next challenge and the next experience. And so definitely having that, my immigration experience as a lens to walk through, I mean, it definitely informed the business, my company that I started, my vocational school, where I taught bilingual individuals to become medical interpreters. I don't think I would have had an affinity to that had I not had my experience as an immigrant myself, as well as just the challenges really that all immigrants have to go through when they are in a brand new country, brand new culture.
Yeah.
I think that definitely informs the way that I interact with others and the possibilities that I see. I'm very grateful for America when you come from a country, in my case, that I had experienced a dictatorship right before I came here in Panama. And so you appreciate the freedoms and the opportunities. And it informed my desire to be in public service because of that.
What originally drew you to the intersection of healthcare, education, and access? And why did that combination feel urgent to you?
Got it. Well, I was a director of patient advocacy at the Grady Health System, which is one of the largest public hospitals in this area in the Southeast. And one of the programs in my department was interpreting services. We had a really difficult time in the early 2000s training all of our interpreters because there were no training programs in Georgia. And so I saw the need and decided to weigh in on my own to develop curriculum and launch this program. One of the great things about it is that I had already been trained. I was an adjunct professor of healthcare administration and had already been trained to develop and design courses and develop curriculum. And so I took those skill sets, saw the need, and I was able to apply that to that need. And really and truly, access is a word that we're using now, but at the time it was just a need for my own, as a director of in a healthcare setting, where that was what we had to accomplish. We had to be able to provide interpreting services to our patients. And so,
Can you walk us through the moment you realized language access wasn't just a service, but a justice issue?
I would say I was already in it and realized that it was, the perception from others, as far as, well, they're in America. Why aren't they learning how to, speak English? And I didn't realize, the negative perception that it would take. And I realized that they didn't realize they did not know the laws, right? According to the civil rights laws of the 1960s, we had to provide language access. That is something that hospitals and healthcare organizations have to do. If someone has enough English to get by at a restaurant or even at their job, that doesn't mean that they have enough English to get by in a healthcare setting, right? Just like normal, regular folks have a very difficult time understanding medical jargon. Imagine laying on top of that a language barrier. And so it's very imperative that you have a qualified interpreter. But as you mentioned, I didn't realize how much of a justice issue it became until I was already knee deep in the industry and realizing the perception of it from the outside.
We see a little bit of what problem you were trying to solve when you founded MiTio Incorporated. How has that mission evolved over time?
Well, initially, it was just trying to provide training, right, in getting our interpreters qualified to be able to be medical interpreters in a healthcare setting. Then it evolved to helping them get certification, because at the time, there was no national certification. So I became very heavily involved in the certification process, became a subject matter expert, and that took about 2 or 3 years to develop the certification exam and have it launched. And once it launched, I was elected as the first chair of the board of the National Certification for Medical Interpreters. Then it evolved into providing the services myself. So a lot of my alumni asked, well, why don't you have your own agency and allow us to work with you to provide these services? So I ended up doing that, started my own agency. And now it's really advancing AI, because AI is here to stay. We're not going to get away from AI, and making sure that it's done in a just way, in a equitable way, where they're not replacing human interpreters, they're simply enhancing them. So I've been very fortunate to be on at every level of that evolution, if you will.
How does employing interpreters directly rather than outsourcing, how does that change the outcomes for patients and institutions?
So are you referring to like hospitals where they outsource a lot of their interpreting services? Well, It really is a necessity, because think of it this way. As a hospital, you probably have your majority of your population in your area. You already know what the major language is, right? But what if you have the off chance of a different patient, and you don't have that personnel in-house, but you still need that service to be delivered? And that is where the outsourcing comes in. So it's a necessity. So you can have hospitals, mainly most of the times, will have in-house interpreters for the major languages that they see in their area. So say you live in Atlanta, where you have a large population of Hispanics, you'll have on staff, 5 to 10 qualified interpreters. But you still need to be able to provide interpreting services to your Vietnamese patients and your Chinese patients and your Russian patients. So you have to be able to outsource that either with phone or video interpreting services.
After 20 plus years in healthcare, what systemic gaps still concern you the most today?
Oh my gosh. What saddens me about the healthcare system is that we haven't fixed any systemic gaps in the 20 years. It just gets worse. Really, healthcare reform is overdue in the US.
Yeah.
I say that we have sick care, not healthcare, because we're not focused on preventative care as do other developed nations. We actually spend much more than most developed nations, but our results, our outcomes are much less. I mean, we actually score in some outcomes the same as developed nations. You know, infant mortality, maternal mortality, for one. It's very disheartening to have been in this industry for over 30 years and see it actually decline, not progress.
Yeah. How did your experience as an adjunct professor influence your belief in workforce training as a path to empowerment?
Mhm. Well, if you think about it, a lot of workers, right?
Yeah.
They come to work, obviously for salary, but they don't stay for that. They stay for the community, they stay for the environment, and they stay if they're going to get advancement from that job. If they feel like that job is actually teaching them, whether it's for a promotion within the company or to advancement with another company. And so workforce training becomes a benefit, really, that you can offer an employee.
What did founding a medical interpreting trade school teach you about non-traditional education models?
Mhm. See, so I'm running for superintendent of schools of Georgia, and
Yes.
one of my initiatives is to provide training trade certifications to every high school graduate. And I believe this very strongly, even before I founded my own vocational school, because I myself obtained a trade school certification in high school. I knew that I was going to go into the healthcare field. I knew that I wanted to go to college to obtain a healthcare training, healthcare degree. And I knew that being able to put myself through college was the best way to go. And so I obtained a trade school certification the summer between my 11th and 12th grade. And it was a game changer for me. And so I truly believe that we've been talking about trade schools the wrong way for many years. It's not just for those that are students that are not college bound or college, material. It's for everyone. And so that's why I would like to see every high school student obtain a trade school certification as well as their high school diploma. Now, having had my own trade school, I can tell you that giving someone a career, not just a job, but a career, something that they can use for advancement and be able to be full-fledged, members of society. You know what a dead-end job does for you, does for your soul. Whereas when you have a career, it empowers you. It makes you feel very confident, and it fulfills something within you. In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the self-actualization. That is what a career does for someone, and it's amazing how much of that gets accomplished when you give someone that, especially for those that didn't think that they would ever have that opportunities like that. And so, I would like to have every student in Georgia have that opportunity.
So you served on Georgia's Department of Community Health.
Correct.
What surprised you most about public health policy making from the inside?
So I've mentioned this before, just how slow government goes, how slow things take, how long it takes for things to be accomplished in government. Compared to when you're a CEO of your own company, you can make a decision on a dime and tomorrow we have a new process. That is not the case when you're in government. It takes months and months and months of communicating your ideas to the public and then getting their feedback and then going back to the table and rewriting bills and rewriting decisions. So it's all part of the process. I understand that, but it's a very lengthy process, which is why it takes people with tenacity. It takes people that have that persistence and that drive to just keep at it, no matter how long it takes. And thankfully, that's one of the things that I have in spades, persistence.
How did that appointment to that position change how you view government responsibility versus community responsibility?
Well, I did see that they both worked hand in hand. So as I mentioned, just having that opportunity for the public to respond. And you would think that at a position of, where I was with Department of Community Health, and this was during the COVID years, right?
Yeah.
That we would have gotten a lot more public participation, but really it wasn't as much as I had envisioned or had expected. And so, although you have community involvement, it isn't in the thousands or millions, right?
Right.
That you expect. It's just, it's just a few people that are very engaged. And although it's a lengthy process, I'm sure that it would have taken a lot longer had we had much more engagement.
What motivated you to run for public office, and what did that campaign teach you about yourself?
So I'm in it right now. So I'll let you know what it taught me afterwards. But no, this is my third run for office. I'll tell you, the first two times I ran for state senator, state senate here in the state of Georgia. And what it taught me was that politics is all consuming. And so you really have to be able to be in a position to devote a lot of your time and energy to it. And although I was not in office, people would still come to me with a myriad of concerns and issues, right? As soon as you're running for office, they just consider you a politician. And I thought about that. My children were young at the time when I ran the first two times. And I thought about, I'm going to have to do this when they're a little bit older. And I'm grateful now. I have, my oldest is, he's done with college, and he's, has his, he's doing well, as a civil engineer, and has its own business. And the two younger ones, they're high schoolers and just about finished with high school. And I just feel like, okay, now I can actually devote the time and energy it takes for that. The other lesson really that it's an unfortunate one is just how expensive, right? Running for office is, just trying to get your name out there, or trying to get your platform. You have to really think of very creative ways to do so without breaking the bank, right? And which is why election reform needs to happen, because I'm a huge proponent of term limits because of that. Because when you have an incumbent, it's very difficult to go against them with their war chests, right? Because they've been building it up for years.
Yes.
And so it's really, I would like to see election reform happen, or at least a different way to go about it. But definitely term limits has to be part of that conversation.
Yeah, I understand that. As a conservative voice, where do you feel the current political conversation is missing nuance or lived experience?
It's definitely missing integrity, I would say. Just people that are respectful, just because it's, good to be respectful of other human beings. Sure. Just being able to say, I disagree, let's agree to disagree. I think the civility and the integrity have definitely been lost in current politics. I'm grateful that it's not poisoned so much local politics as much, but and I'm definitely going to keep my integrity. it doesn't matter to me if someone is nasty towards me. I'm not going to be nasty back, right? But I
Yes.
don't know if that's the belief of everybody. I would like to see civility return to politics for sure.
Where do you think your civility came from? Did you try to match someone's ire once and you realized this carries on too much? Were you raised that way? Where does that civility come from?
It's just from my faith, really. I believe that a lot of it is just stems from that. And I really believe that at the end of the day, it doesn't, being uncivil or being nasty does not advance your chances. Now, that doesn't mean that I can't have contrast, right? I
Yeah.
can't, I believe in painting a contrast between myself and my opponents. But that doesn't mean it has to be nasty or undercut someone's character. I don't believe we have to do that.
Yeah. By doing that, I'm gonna guess you're in the minority.
Yes.
You're bringing a knife to a gunfight a lot of times.
But at the end of the day, here's the thing, Donato. So I have this scripture that I believe very wholeheartedly. It's that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Right?
Yeah.
You've heard of that. And because of that, and the companion scripture to that is that all things work together for good to those who love God and are called according to his promise. So if you put those two together, I don't really have to be nasty, because not only is nothing that you do to me going to really prosper, right? All things, even this nastiness, is going to work out for my good. So I just don't feel like it's necessary. I feel that at the end of the day, if it's meant for me to win, I will win, and I don't have to go down in the gutter to win.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you navigate being both faith-driven and policy-driven in spaces where those worlds often clash?
I really don't know why they clash. Honestly, I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't know why they clash, because it drives every decision that I make. I believe very strongly that my faith informs my decisions, and my faith informs my policy. If you look at the current Georgia school system, right, we rank 38th out of 50. That is immoral to me. When kids are graduating high school illiterate, that's immoral to me, because we know that by third grade, if someone's not reading, they're building prisons based on the literacy rate, or the amount of children that are not literate, right? They're building prisons because they know if you can't read, your chances of getting into crime expands exponentially. My faith informs that, right? And so I want to see that change, because that is a broken system, and no child deserves to be in a broken system. And so I will do everything in my power to make changes. Our current, superintendent of schools has presided over a decline in our literacy rate. So 70% of our fourth graders are not proficient in reading. 76% of our eighth graders are not proficient in math. Those are declines under his tenure. I don't know how he sleeps at night. I want to make sure that all of our students are learning at their full potential, and when they're graduating, that they are able to enter the fields that they were meant to enter, that they were put on this earth to do. And so I will work very tirelessly to make that happen.
So you're also an author.
Correct.
Your book, The Good Christian Wife, sparked strong reactions. What conversations were you hoping to start with that work?
So I have since renamed the book. It's okay. It started off as A Good Christian Life, and I did an updated edition. The book is called Stay and Fight now. And the updated edition includes information on how menopause affects marriages, specifically a lot of women who are in the menopausal ages have a decoupling of the attachment hormones, and therefore no longer feel the need to be attached to their spouses and their children. And so I wrote the book with that update. But the initial title, The Good Christian Wife, was really, I couldn't think of another title really that was better suited for that. The book is really intended to remind Christian women that marriage isn't just between them and their husbands. It's between them, their husbands, and God. It's a covenant relationship. And therefore we are really meant to be missionaries, if you will, to the world through that role. And so that's really where it comes about. I'm not really sure why it would spark so much discussion. Again, I do things as I see fit. I am a true believer in you were born an original, don't die a copy. So I don't really, it doesn't matter to me much, if people have a disagreement with something that I do, if I truly believe it's coming from a place of integrity and authenticity.
Do you feel that the original name made some people want to throw rocks at your, I hate to say glass house, but because
no glass house over here, trust me.
Your nice house. I meant that
if you read the book,
if
you read the book, you would realize that I am painting a very realistic picture of marriage and all of its challenges, and explaining that because we live in this society where marriage is such a fleeting contract, really. Mm-hmm. It doesn't carry the weight that it did back when our grandma and grandpa were married. Okay. And yes. So that is really what it was intended for. It's that marriage is not easy. And so if you come into it with this idea that it's going to be easy peasy, and the minute it gets hard, I'm out, that is the wrong idea behind.
Yeah.
That's the wrong mentality. And so that's really what the book is about. So
have you found out that, is it hard for people to get into it, to finally get to that message? It just seems, I did not read it, but okay. I gathered that there were some reactions. And so I was just wondering.
Well, you are not the intended audience. It's for women. It's for Christian women. So that's the intended audience of the book. But as I said, I have since updated it, and it's called now Stay and Fight. And it has the same connotation that you have to really, it's a battle, and you have to get in there, and you got to put your fighting gloves on and fight for your marriage and fight for your children.
What the changes nowadays in those relationships, just as you said, grandma and grandpa used to stick and stay. And nowadays with social media, with the culture, the way that the culture has changed, it is very easy to cut and run. It's too easy. You are not what I see others. That's the social media influence. I am hearing from other people that I am not as well cared for in my relationship as others. Do you see it that way, that there's a lot of outside, maybe even more outside influence that takes over relationship feedback or the feeling?
For
Do
sure.
you think I have no
comparison is a killer.
Yes, it is.
Comparison is what leads us to depression and anxiety, and definitely is one of the main reasons why marriages are ending today, because it increases our expectations of our spouse, right? And even of ourselves or our circumstance, right? So whenever we're comparing, it's a death knell, for sure. in anything, whether it's we're comparing our houses, our cars, our careers, our you name it. You start comparing, and you need to compare yourself to your own potential, and that's the best place to be. It's okay. Where do I need to be, or where do I see myself, and am I there yet? That's the only comparison you need to be worried about. Not to compare yourselves with the Joneses, or what you think the Joneses are doing, because as you know, social media is just curated anyways.
Yes, it is. I call my own Facebook, I call it brag book. And then for me, I'm constantly just posting what my kids do, because those are my hobbies. Those are my best friends. I'm happy my kids scored 5 goals. I never scored 5 goals. I mean, and I want my friends to know. So yeah, I do know. And then, yeah, I would love to post about how my wife doesn't get the memo that she should never argue with me. I would love to post that, but
that's, I mean, I'm not sure where you got that idea that women are supposed to argue with you, but okay.
Yeah, but that popped in my head. But we don't post the negative stuff.
No.
Well, some do, because they get that attention,
and it's kind of depressing, right?
Well, yeah, but it's also to some of what you and I were talking about. The moment I post, Dr. Lee, that and my wife never comes to the basketball court to watch me, but other guys, their ladies are out there. In those comments, somebody saying, I would come watch you play. There's that. Then there's other guys saying, man, she don't even care. You need to go get you one that'll come. There's that. That's all that social media influence that I was talking about. And why do we feel the need to want to comment on someone else's relationship?
Exactly.
Either we are in our own or we're not. But
right. Don't invite it is basically.
Yes. I want to switch and ask you, what inspired the Black Woman's Guide to Revival, and how does revival look different today than it did a generation ago?
God, it was a blog. I have always been very opinionated in my political views, and I really wanted to write a blog that talked about things from a conservative Black woman's perspective, which I wasn't seeing anywhere else. I was like, where's our voice? And so that really was where that was from. It's just a political blog from a conservative Black woman's perspective.
Mm-hmm. How do you define revival in a modern cultural and spiritual context?
Well, when you think about it, revival is coming back to our first love, right? It's coming back. And revival, when in the spiritual church sense, is, you would come back to your first love of God and the excitement and all of that. In this sense, it was more of I truly believe that Black women of old were very conservative. If you look at the 1950s and even all the way up to early 1960s, Black women led homes, or the Black family was stronger than the white family, the Caucasian family. And somewhere, in the last 30, 40 years, that has gone to the wayside, and it's completely reversed itself. But I truly believe that, at the core, Black families were very conservative, right? And so the revival part of it was, hey, let's go back to our roots. Let's go back to, how we used to care for each other, care for our children, care for our spouses, care for our community. So that really was the onus of that.
You won't be able to get that on a hat. Make Black families great again.
Right. And that has a really good ring to it. That's exactly what I wanted to do. And that is truly I intend to do that. Bring that is my goal in life, is to bring back the strong Black family.
Yeah, I get that. In your view, what role should churches play in community health and education beyond Sunday services?
You know, churches are the most underutilized buildings, right?
Yes, they are.
Most of them are utilized on Sunday, maybe Sunday night, maybe Wednesday, and that's about it. Imagine how many uses a church could have, whether it's from a school, or maybe even a preschool, to rec centers, after school. It's. I would love for more churches to be more community centers, right, rather than just a spiritual house on Sunday and Wednesday night. And I believe that if that happened, we would see the resurgence of the Black community, because Black people, by and large, still go to church more so than whites. But yet the church is detached to them from their regular day-to-day lives. So I would love to see more private schools in the churches just utilize the space Monday through Saturday, right? Yeah. Just utilize that space, whether it's after school programs, you name it, tutoring centers. There's so much uses for the church other than just to hear a sermon.
Oh, I in my youth, I worked in a retirement home, and I can tell you, they need places to play bingo.
Exactly.
They don't have enough places.
I mean, older folks that don't even want to go. Let's say you have an older person that doesn't want to go to a nursing home, but they still need a place to socialize.
Yes.
So just like you said, bingo, or even a place where they can read to youngsters, because they need that sense of giving back. It's just so much usage, and it's just we're lacking the place to bring all of that together.
Yeah, there we are. So you've balanced entrepreneurship, public service, and family. What boundaries have been the hardest to protect?
Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't say that I do it all at once. So one of my mottos is you can have it all, or you can do it all, just not all at the same time. And so, as I mentioned earlier, when I ran the first 2 times, when I realized just how time-consuming politics could be, I noticed that I would, or I made a mental note that, okay, I'm going to have to postpone my true political race until my kids are older and they don't need me quite as much. And so this is where we're at now. So I really see it as balancing so much as I'm now in a position where I can do it without having to balance it. Whereas right now I'm in a place with my children where I'm more of an advisor than anything else. They come to me from time to time with the odd question, but it's not as time consuming as it was when they were younger. Now I am a consummate, a serial entrepreneur, if you will. I don't see how that is out of place, if you will, with my race. I don't see it where I have to balance. It's just something that just comes naturally, and so they're not mutually exclusive. And one of the things that I get much joy from in my business is the fact that I'm able to help so many people. So
let's back up here. Okay. I think I gotta go ahead and get you to take a quick note. There's another book you need to write. Okay. Did you just say your kids come to you for advice? The rest of us ain't getting that. What are you doing that we not doing? And I know you said we shouldn't compare, but let's compare. What are you doing that we ain't doing that they coming to you? Because
what I'm saying is they come to me very infrequently. When they do come, it's just for every blue moon.
Okay.
No, my oldest and I actually have a really strong relationship, and we're business partners, and so we communicate quite often in that realm. He helps me a lot with the business. My 2 teenagers, it is nice whenever they do need their mom, but it's so infrequent that I just really relish the times that it's it's very, very infrequent, trust me.
So let me get this straight. They popping in and say, "Hey, Ma, I got a good question."
Correct.
And you go in to invite them. Oh, well, come on in, sit down. Hey, no, I was just trying to ask you a quick question, like get in, get out. Well, come have a sit down. You want something to drink? You want me to go get you a tea? Is that what happens? Like you trying to like soak it all in when they do come.
I do try to soak it in, and it comes at times where they don't even realize that they're asking for my advice. So that's the beauty of it. So it's not really like a sit down, I need advice, mom. It just kind of like flows from, I just really try to insert myself into their life as much as possible, really at this point. But like I said, they just don't need their mom as much. And so I'm okay with it. I have other things that I can do now.
No, that means, see, this is part of the book. That means you did it right. You know, I talked to my parents and I've expressed to them, you raised me to be independent.
Right.
You were probably a little too good at it. So no, probably don't call you if you're comparing me to other people. We can keep hearing that one there. But maybe I don't text you as much or call you as much as Janet's son does, but I'm living a great life, doing great. You set me on the path.
Yes. You should be.
I'm independent.
Right. Exactly.
So give yourself that pat on the back because you've done a great job, clearly. Let's talk about something else you seem to be doing pretty well at. You've been married for over 20 years because we were just talking about, ain't nobody doing that no more. So how has being married over 20 years shaped your leadership style and decision-making?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. So we've been married 25. We just celebrated our 25th anniversary, and we went to Greece, which was amazing.
Oh, I got so many other questions. We'll save that for post-production.
Listen, I will say that the most challenging thing I have ever done in my life has been staying married 25 years. I'm not going to lie, which is why the book came out, because I was like, listen, ladies, if I can do it, you can do it.
Yes.
I love my children to death, and they are so amazing. But one of the main things I wanted for them was to not grow up in a broken family. I wanted to give them that gift. And so one of the first things I did when I met my husband was I established that we had the same values, the same Christian values. And so I'm grateful that we had that. Like I said, I'm not just married to him. It's a triangle. You know, I'm married to him and to God. He's the third person in this covenant marriage. But that doesn't mean that it was easy, Donato. And that's really one of the reasons why I encourage all your Christian ladies that are listening to this podcast, and even those that are not Christian women, that your children, that should be one of the things that you consider before calling it quits. Here's the thing: our feelings can get hurt. They do get hurt. Okay, our feelings get hurt. Let's just put it out there. And at times, it feels like we will never again feel better unless this person is not in our life. That is the truth. But you know what? Feelings change. You grow up. You see things totally different. And you can still weather all those storms with the same person. And as long as you have open communication, you can get through the tough times. And when you get through the tough times, you're stronger for it. Your marriage is stronger for it, and your kids are stronger for it because they see the parents did something tough, and so everybody benefits. So that's just a little preview of that book. But really, marriage is tough, especially for, I would say, especially for women that are ambitious and career, and we don't need a man financially thing. Really, I mean, there's nothing really tying you down but the kids. Really and truly, it can be a very, very difficult decision for a lot of women. I would say if your man has a job, he's not physically abusing you, and he's not running around on you, find a way to make it work.
Yeah. What is it? I've given you one book recommendation, or here's the second book.
Okay.
And let me stretch out on the couch, doctor, and help me out here. So you said we get our feelings hurt. Yeah, I get my feelings hurt when I don't win the arguments with my wife, which this is the second time I mentioned that.
Yep.
But I think
counseling works beautifully. It works I highly recommend it.
Yes. No, agreed. If you, I mean,
Yeah.
because you should work. That shouldn't be the carry the negative tag that we apply to it. We should be thinking of how it can help, how it can strengthen that relationship. And then
Sometimes
one
you just
thing
need a referee. That's all it is. Sometimes you just need a third party to say,
yes,
you're right, you're wrong, or hey, you're both right, but this is how you can bridge, compromise here. I mean, really, I think therapy is an amazing tool. We've definitely used it throughout our 25 years.
not to mention, fellas, it's a safe space. Yo, what happens in that therapy session stays in that. And she can't be bringing that stuff up. So whatever you say, speak freely, brother. How many times can you speak freely?
Right.
And go ahead and let her bring something up. You can write to the next session and you can snitch. This one snitching's good. You can snitch and be like, hey, talk to your girl, because Wednesday night I was watching the game and she brought up.
Now, how long have you been married?
Yeah, it's so funny. My wife whispered this in my ear just last night. She said, we are going to be married 12 years this summer. And this was the month that I asked her to be my girlfriend.
Okay.
And she whispered that to me today. And now I'm thinking about it, she's getting really lovey-dovey these last couple days. All right, podcast over. I gotta go. No, but I like that though, because I like to say I had a panic attack. I was already over. I was a state away, and then I was just thinking, wait a minute, while I'm here snowboarding, she back there. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry, they shooting they shot right now. I need to get back. So I texted her, maybe called, and I was like, tomorrow morning, let's meet for brunch. She said, great. So I drove all night from that. When I went click, drove all night. That's the panic attack part, because I had to get back and I wanted to be there by that morning. No sleep. And I got there.
Your breakfast. I love it.
She was eating her eggs Benedict. I was like, hey, so here's what I want. It's you. And I don't want nobody else to have an opportunity. She said yes. So that's how that one went.
Hold on to that feeling when the going gets tough.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I intend to. Okay. Well, I've always threatened her. I said, I'm not going anywhere. If you want out of this, you got to break this up. I'm not that type. I believe it's back to what you said though, Dr. Lee. If your kids will believe that relationships can endure, they actually have a case subject. Exactly. It's you guys. Yeah. They can look at mom and dad and be like, wait, they pulled that off, because I know dad. Dad is not saying he is, but man, dad is a piece of work. But mom, she toughed that out. Now your husband's gonna listen to this podcast. You're like, hey man, ain't nothing wrong with me. She's the firecracker, but I'm taking her side, guy. I mean, what can I say? She came on my podcast. So but I think that helps. And so my wife, her parents are still together over 40 years, probably like 50 years now. And my parents, my dad is gone, but for the length of time that they were together, I just posted a short to plug the podcast, and it was just it was titled don't date a lady whose mom hated men, something like that.
Oh wow.
Because if the young lady I want to date, if growing up all she heard was men ain't nothing from mom, oof. And so, but you said that, Dr. Lee, you had that conversation with your now husband initially. And fans of the podcast know I love talking relationships, but I think we can't be afraid. Say it up front. Talk this stuff out up front. Why waste your time?
Yes, exactly.
Especially you people dating nowadays. As I say this into the mic, y'all got all these apps. Yeah, y'all got a lot of options. Yeah. So be brave, because you can go to the next one. How do they swipe left? I don't know, but you can swipe.
That was before my time. Yes.
Yeah. So be brave. Had that conversation. You heard it from Dr. Lee said it Forget Donato. Dr. Lee said, had that conversation up front. Make sure y'all mutual.
Exactly.
Thank you, Dr. Lee.
Having similar values is definitely recommended.
Yes. Fans of the podcast are like, oh, she done set Donato off. He's always looking for that. What I want to go back to your children.
Sure.
What lessons have your children taught you about the future we're building right now?
So I'm very grateful to my kiddos. They're constantly challenging me. Like I mentioned, my oldest, we're in business together, and I really go to him for business advice. He's brilliant in that area. But really, marketing, anything technology, digital marketing, you name it. If they're digital natives, right? And so I go to them quite often for just their advice, or maybe not advice, but just their feedback and their take on technology and the changes that they have to go through. I'm grateful that I didn't date in this day and age, with social media and all the dating apps. But I can appreciate the challenges that that they have, so.
It's tough.
It is tough for sure. Yes.
I mean, I complain, Dr. Lee, that it is unfair when you're out here, you're trying to date across the dating apps and your social media. As a content creator, I'll put something out and it may only get 178 views, but this young lady is skimpily clad and she got thousands, tens of thousands of views, and she ain't doing nothing. This is a funny clip I got out, and I'm not just saying it myself. Like, other people in the comments are like, "Oh, so funny." Well, yeah, it's funny. Now forward it to like 20 friends so I can catch up with bathing suit girl over there. And so, yeah, if you're modest, I bet you don't get a lot of swipes. They go to the girl that's got it all. So
yeah,
that's tough. I'm glad I am on the shelf. When people say they want to create change, what do you think they often misunderstand about that process?
Just the sacrifice it will take, because oftentimes it does require a lot of sacrifice on your part, a lot of time devoted to it. But guess what? If you're persistent, you will see the results. You will see the fruition of it. So, but I truly believe that if you see a problem and you want to be part of that solution, that you can be. You are empowered to be the change that you wish to see in the world.
What skills do you believe are most critical for becoming an effective change agent today?
Well, good communication skills, right? Being able to articulate what it is that you want to see accomplished, and also compassion and just being able to see things from different points of view. Because if you believe that the change has to happen the way that you want it to happen, you're not being creative enough. Just because I have a vision as to the results that I want, but honestly, I'm open to any solution. I'm going to present my solution, but if your solution is better, that's fine with me, as long as we get the results. And we really should all strive to do that. Is just have an open mind as to how we get to the solution.
How can marginalized communities better leverage education and credentialing that we mentioned earlier to gain power within systems?
Right. One of my favorite quotes from Dr. Condoleezza Rice is that education is the great equalizer, right? And if we strive to just educate our children and properly prepare them, right, for life, through critical thinking and making sure that they have just at least the foundation, right? Literacy, good math skills, even teaching them business skills, right? In high school, I highly recommend that. But if we can do that, and utilize their time in K-12 properly to give them the good foundation, the sky's the limit. There's nothing that will keep them from succeeding, right? If we give them a good foundation. And it doesn't matter where they're from, what their circumstances are. If you give them a good foundation educationally, they will thrive.
What misconceptions exist about medical and court interpreters that the public should understand?
So people often believe that if you are bilingual, that automatically makes you an interpreter. That couldn't be further from the truth. You have to be taught to be an interpreter. You have to know how to retain information and be able to synthesize it and then translate it into the next language. You have to know medical jargon if you're going to be a medical interpreter, legal jargon if you're going to be a legal interpreter. You have to know what confidentiality laws are, like how you're not allowed to say that information outside in the community, HIPAA laws and all of that. And a myriad of all the other laws that you have to know. You have to know what the difference is between simultaneous and consecutive interpreting it. So therefore, it's a profession, not just something that anyone can do just because they're bilingual.
How do you measure success personally and professionally at this stage of your life?
Got it. So as I mentioned earlier, I truly believe in comparing myself to myself. And so I have a vision for my life, and I encourage everyone to do that, right? Get a vision for yourself. You know, it could be a 5-year, where I see myself in 5 years, where I see myself in 10, 20 years. And make sure it's a vision that's aligned with your talents and your purpose. And once you have that vision, have the courage to move towards it. Now, what I mean by comparing myself to myself, it's just I kind of give myself an evaluation, you know, whether it's every 3 months, every 6 months, every year, whatever. The timeline, but you need to evaluate. Am I getting closer to my vision? Am I getting closer to, you know, the goals and the purpose that I feel that I'm here for? So that's how I measure success. Am I getting closer to achieving the things, or have I achieved them? So sometimes I've achieved them, and honestly, Donato, by the time I've achieved one thing, I'm already thinking about the next one, but you do have to take some time to celebrate achievement. So that's always important. But that's really how I feel that I have achieved so much, is because I always say, if you aim for the stars, you might hit the moon. And so I'm always aiming for the stars. And so I hit the moon a lot, but I'm always aiming for the stars. So in my estimation, I haven't gotten to the stars yet. So just have really big, lofty goals. Don't be afraid to push yourself. But if you do that, you don't have time for what other people are doing. Really, you don't have time to compare yourself to anyone else, because you have your list of things that you are trying to accomplish for yourself.
You guys heard it here first. Dr. Nelva Lee just said she's not a good driver. She's the reason we got all those craters and dents in the moon. That was you? All them times you done ran into the moon?
That is me.
Who y'all got insurance with? Dr. Lee, were there any other items, any things you wanted to plug that maybe we didn't get to today? Any lasting thoughts that you'd like to offer?
Well, if any of your listeners are in the state of Georgia, I would obviously love to have their vote. The primary is in May, and so I do need your votes, because it's 5 of us running against the incumbent. So you can find me on drnelvalee.com, and I have my speech platform, speech there. I have other podcast interviews that I've done. I'll probably put this one on there as well. And I have my books listed on there, my social media handles. So yes, I would love your votes if you're in the state of Georgia. And if you're not in the state of Georgia, go on there and you can pick up one of my books.
Oh, we all got a cousin in the state of Georgia. So what y'all could do is you can call your cousin after you see this podcast. You know what I'm saying there? That's what you do. You're like, hey, I got one for you, cuzzo. I just heard about her on a podcast. Just go, trust me. Well, everyone, that wraps up today's conversation with Dr. Nelva Lee. a powerful reminder that real change happens when experience, conviction, and service come together. Whether it's healthcare access, education, faith, or public leadership, her work challenges us to stop waiting for permission and start becoming active change agents in our own communities.
Yes.
If this conversation resonated with you, share it. Call up that cousin. Keep the dialogue going. And as always, thank you for talking with Donato. Thank you, Dr. Lee.
Thank you so much for having me.